As we reported to you last week on Friday, immigration officials were told in an internal email on Thursday to release all migrants from detention, quote, immediately. We have more details on this email and on the internal response to it, as the Justice Department released the email and related correspondence in court today. Now, that filing shows that the orders in this email were retracted after this show reached out to DHS on Friday afternoon for comment. Quote, this was their response internally, retract this directive immediately. Please direct your supervisors to follow the memorandum issued. Operational guidance is being developed and will be issued in the coming days, end quote. Now, that retraction came a day and a half after the initial email, once again, right after we called about it. Another ICE official chimed in to say that the order to release migrants only applied to some detainees who were set to be deported, but now wouldn't be removed due to the new presidential order. This group of detainees is considered, quote, high risk of getting ill from COVID. Detainees qualify if they're over the age of 55, have high blood pressure, or have diabetes. All of them can thank this order for the special treatment they're getting. The rollout of this deportation moratorium clearly, at very least, has been chaotic, but it also has implications for the rule of law, for the nature of this country going forward. Stephen Miller has thought a lot about this. He's a former White House senior advisor. He joins us tonight. Stephen Miller, thanks so much for coming on. So explain, since you just spent 4 years in the face of very intense opposition, both outside the White House and within it, working on this issue. What does this mean? Tell us the implications of Joe Biden's presidential directive on immigration.
Thank you, Tucker. This is the most extreme directive, I would argue, really in the history of modern law enforcement that's ever been issued. Let me break it down for everybody. Acting Secretary Pekoski issued a memorandum on the evening of January 20th, the day of the inauguration, putting into place a 100-day deportation moratorium. There's very narrow exceptions in that memorandum that would apply to only a handful of people in a given year. It would be, terrorists and spies and really extraordinary cases. But the 180,000 people that ICE removed last year, those same 180,000 people could not be removed this year as a result of that deportation moratorium. Now, of those 180,000 people, Tucker, 92% of them are criminals, either charged or convicted of a crime. In this memo, there is no exceptions clause for criminals. I repeat, there is no exceptions clause for criminals. What does this mean operationally? And why was that email sent? What it means, Tucker, is that the work of ICE officers will grind to a halt beginning February 1st. Why February 1st? Because that's the date by which ICE has to come up with implementing guidance for the memo. And so every sheriff's office, every police department, every correctional facility in the country that for years has been handing over illegal aliens to ICE to pick them up and take them home, which is the bread and butter of ICE's work, all of those people will not get picked up anymore. Why won't they get picked up? Because you cannot arrest someone you can't deport. That's a foundational principle of immigration law. ICE is not a jail. ICE has detention facilities exclusively for staging people for removal. You cannot pick up somebody that you're not going to remove. So, beginning in just a few days, about 12,000 criminals a month are going to be released into U.S. communities. I'm basing that 12,000 number on what the average was last year of how many arrests were given in a particular month, or how many arrests were made in a particular month. It could actually be higher than that, because last year, obviously, with the pandemic, numbers went down a bit. With the vaccine, arrests normally, you would expect them to go back up. So I'd say between 12 to 15,000 criminals a month, Tucker, are going to be loosed back into U.S. communities. But it gets even worse. In addition to that, they are forbidden by the terms of this memo from removing visa overstays. Any student who comes here, any foreign worker who comes here on a temporary visa, that expiration date now means nothing. Worksite enforcement, Tucker, gone. It doesn't exist anymore. As of January 20th, Joe Biden has declared there is no more workplace immigration law. You, as a U.S. citizen, do not have the protection of your laws. Your civil rights do not matter. What about immigration courts, Tucker? What if you fail to appear in immigration court? Can you be deported under this memo? No. What if you show up in immigration court, you're ordered removed, but decide not to go home? Can someone come pick you up and take you home? No. The whole system, Tucker, is dismantled.
This is, I don't think we fully understood the implications of this when we reported on this order last week, and they're far more terrifying than I even thought. And I'm grateful to you for explaining that, but really bothered by it. And I hope that you'll come back. Stephen Miller, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tucker.